Kyle Harrison stood in the middle of the giant chamber. All around him, strange beings from across the galaxy sat in their special seats. Some floated in containers filled with gas. Others stood on 6 legs, tall as trees. Small gray creatures with huge eyes watched him from the corner. This was the Galactic Council, and Kyle was here to ask for something humanity had wanted for 30 years. He wore his dark blue uniform with Earth's symbol on the chest. His hair was turning gray and his eyes looked tired. He had fought many battles in this room before, all with words instead of weapons. Today would be no different. Kyle took a deep breath and began to speak. His voice was steady and clear. Honorable Council members, humanity asked to become a full member. We want a seat on the Security Directorate. We have helped build many things in space. We have shared our medical knowledge with everyone. We have fought beside you 3 times against the Void Raiders. The room exploded with noise. Clicks, whistles, and strange sounds filled the air. The translation devices struggled to keep up, but Kyle heard the message clearly. The answer was no. Again. High Chancellor Theron raised one of his forearms. He was a Crete, massive and powerful. When he moved, the whole chamber seemed to shake. His voice came through the translators like rolling thunder. Ambassador Harrison, we see what humanity has done, but your species is too young. You have only been traveling in space for 200 years. Many of us have civilizations that are 10,000 years old or more. Another council member spoke up. This one was made of living gas, shifting colors inside a clear container. The gas turned orange, which meant annoyance. Your species still fights among yourselves. Just last month we heard about problems on your colony world of New Perth. Kyle's jaw tightened. He had expected this. They always brought up every small problem. That was a small disagreement about resources. We solved it peacefully through talking. Meanwhile, the Drex Confederation blocked an entire planet 3 months ago. They sit on the Security Directorate. The Drex have proven themselves over thousands of years, Theron replied. They have earned their position. Humanity has not. Lisa Morgan stepped forward. She was Kyle's assistant, younger and sharp-minded. Her red hair was pulled back tight. If I may speak to the Council, what exactly do we need to prove? We have met every requirement written in the membership accords. Our technology works with yours. Our society is stable. We have shown we want peace. A small Vin counselor made high-pitched squeaks that the translators turned into words. You do not understand, human. This is not about meeting minimum requirements. This is about trust. Your species is aggressive. You expand too fast. You are unpredictable. We have studied your history, your wars, your weapons, your violence. Kyle felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Every species here has a violent past. The difference is we are honest about ours. We do not pretend we evolved in peace and harmony. We know our flaws. We work to fix them. That awareness does not make you less dangerous, Theron said with finality. The Council has decided. Humanity's request for full membership is denied. You will remain at associate status for at least 5 more decades. Then you may ask again. The chamber filled with sounds of agreement. Almost everyone supported the decision. Only a few stayed silent, including the insect-like Taraxis delegation. Kyle looked at Lisa and then back at the Council. 5 decades. An entire human generation told to wait because you have decided we are not worthy of sitting at the table we helped build. Ambassador Harrison, watch your tone, Theron warned. Or what? Kyle's voice stayed calm, but something changed in his eyes. Will you take away our associate status? Send us back to our corner of the galaxy? We have followed your rules, Chancellor, every single one. And it is never enough. Lisa touched his arm gently. Kyle, let me handle this. She turned to face the Council, her face showing no emotion now. The United Government will respect the Council's decision. However, we must formally protest. The standards you apply to humanity are not applied equally to other species. This is not about our readiness. This is about prejudice. The chamber erupted again, this time in outrage. Many delegations accused them of disrespect. Theron's skin turned an angry purple-gray color. This meeting is over, the Chancellor declared. The human delegation will leave the chamber now. Kyle and Lisa walked toward the exit. Their small security team followed them. Lieutenant Jake Martinez walked close to Kyle and whispered, "That could have gone better, sir." "Could it have?" Kyle asked quietly. "We have been trying for 30 years, Jake. Different ambassadors, different approaches. Same result every time." They stepped through an energy barrier into a white hallway that seemed endless. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. What do we tell Earth? Lisa asked. Kyle stopped walking. He turned to face Lisa and the rest of their team. Security Chief Danny Wright, Science Advisor Claire Bennett, and Trade Representative Paul Green all waited for his answer. We tell them the truth, Kyle said. The Council does not want partners. They want servants, and humanity is tired of kneeling. Careful, Kyle, Claire warned, adjusting her glasses. That kind of talk could be seen as hostile. Let them see it however they want, Kyle replied. I am done caring what the Council thinks. They have made their position clear. Now we need to make ours. 3 days later, Kyle stood before the Assembly of Nations in Geneva on Earth. The huge chamber held representatives from every nation and colony world. Everyone had gathered to hear what happened at the Council. Director Helen Cross sat in the central chair. She was Earth's head of government. Her silver hair and calm face showed she was in control. She listened as Kyle gave his report. His words were careful, but his frustration was clear. When he finished, the chamber sat in heavy silence. Finally, Helen spoke. Ambassador Harrison, are you saying we should withdraw from the Galactic Council completely? I am saying we should stop begging for scraps from their table, Kyle answered. We have over 200 colony worlds. We have a fleet of 3,000 ships. We have medical technology they are decades away from matching. We have industrial capacity that is bigger than half the Council species combined. We do not need their approval to succeed. Senator Marcus Webb from the Mars delegation stood up. But we need their trade networks. We need their navigation data. We need their protection treaties. Isolation would destroy our economy, would it? Paul Green stood up from his seat. I have been analyzing our trade balance with Council species. We export far more than we import. Our technology goes out, their raw materials come in. They need us more than we need them. That is a dangerous assumption, another representative called out. The debate went on for hours. Some argued for patience. Others wanted protest. Still others wanted complete separation. But Kyle noticed something in Helen Cross's expression. She was not surprised by any of this. She had expected it. When the session ended, Helen asked Kyle to join her in her private office. The room had windows that looked out over Lake Geneva. The water reflected the afternoon sun. You knew they would reject us, Kyle said. I suspected they would, Helen admitted, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey. The Council's fear of humanity is not new. But I needed someone to give them one final chance. You did that, and now, Helen handed him a glass. Now we prepare for option 2. We have been developing backup plans for years, Kyle. Quiet plans that do not require Council approval. Project names you have never heard. Kyle sipped the whiskey slowly. You are talking about complete self-sufficiency. I am talking about freedom, Helen corrected. The Council serves its oldest members. They keep things the same because it benefits them. New species, innovative species, are threats to their order. They will never truly accept us because we represent change. So we leave. Not immediately, not dramatically. But yes, over the next decade, we quietly separate ourselves. We build our own infrastructure. We establish our own trade networks with independent species. We develop our own security fleet. And when the time comes that we no longer need anything from the Council, we simply stop participating. Kyle set down his glass. That is going to anger many powerful species. Let it, Helen said, her eyes hard. We have spent 2 centuries trying to be good neighbors, good partners, good students. We have helped them, defended them, enriched them, and they pat us on the head and tell us to come back when we are older. I am done with that. Humanity is done with that. The next morning, secret orders went out to every human colony world, every military base, every research facility. The message was simple. Begin Phase 1 of Independence Framework. Gather resources. Develop alternatives to Council technology. Prepare to operate on your own. 3 years had passed since humanity's announcement. The change was impossible to miss. Human ships, once seen everywhere in Council space, had become rare. The busy trade stations that connected human and alien commerce now worked at half their normal capacity. Ambassador Kyle Harrison had returned to Earth. In his place was a junior diplomat whose job was simple: be polite, speak little, and be forgettable. On the Council's main administrative world of Centrum, Trade Minister Valix looked at the economic reports with worry. Her gaseous form rippled through shades of blue and gray. The humans have moved 93% of their trade away from Council channels, she told the Economic Committee. Species like the Taraxis, the Yorn Collective, and the Free Merchants are all dealing directly with Earth now. Counselor Merck, a small Vin who cared deeply about economics, made squeaking sounds. Can we impose sanctions? Force them back into Council trade networks? On what grounds? Valix asked. They have not violated any treaties. They are simply choosing to do business elsewhere. We encouraged free trade. We cannot punish them for it now. But the revenue loss is significant, Valix interrupted. Human medical technology alone made up 15% of Council healthcare solutions. Their industrial machines were the most efficient in known space, and their entertainment exports generated substantial income through cultural exchange. High Chancellor Theron joined the meeting through a hologram. His massive form shimmered in the room. Let me be clear. The humans are throwing a tantrum. When they realize how much they need Council infrastructure, they will return. We simply wait. But waiting proved harder than expected. On New Canaan, a successful human colony world at the edge of explored space, Governor Sam Porter stood on the observation deck of the orbital station. He watched supply ships come and go. Each one had the symbol of human companies or friendly alien species outside Council control. We are ahead of schedule, his chief of staff, Linda Hayes, reported. The new quantum drive facility is working. We can make our own faster-than-light cores now. And the food production expansion? Better than projected. We are not just feeding ourselves anymore. We are becoming exporters. The Taraxis are buying as much grain as we can ship. Sam smiled. The Taraxis, insect-like beings with a strong sense of honor, had been the first major species to break from Council trade rules to deal with humanity. Others had followed. Many species were tired of Council economic restrictions. They had simply lacked an alternative until now. How is the defensive grid coming along? Sam asked. Linda's face grew more serious. That is the challenging part. We have the weapon platforms installed, but they are untested in real combat. If the Council decides to enforce compliance, they will not, Sam interrupted. We have done nothing illegal, and more importantly, we are too far away for them to care. The Council always focuses on their core worlds. That is their weakness, and our strength is that we do not think like them. They build inward, keeping power close. We build outward, spreading out. You cannot control what you cannot reach. Back on Earth, the independence framework had moved into its third phase. Dr. Nathan Cole, chief scientist at the Global Research Institute, stood before a secure council presenting the latest breakthroughs. We have cracked the Council's navigation beacon system, he announced, showing holographic displays. Not just cracked it, we have improved it. Our quantum pathfinding algorithms reduce travel time by 18% compared to Council routes. Director Helen Cross leaned forward. You are certain it works outside their network? Completely certain. We have tested it on 100 different routes. We do not need their beacons anymore. We can navigate using our own. That changes everything, Admiral Chris Hayes said. The gray-haired military commander had been managing the fleet expansion. We have been limited by Council navigation requirements. If we can chart our own routes, we can explore regions they have never surveyed. Exactly, Nathan confirmed. There are thousands of unexplored systems in the gaps between Council space. Rich worlds they have never bothered with because they were not on the approved navigation routes. Helen looked at the star maps, seeing humanity's future spreading in directions the Council had never considered. Begin Phase 4. We expand beyond known space. Find us new worlds, new resources, new opportunities, and tell our colony worlds to prepare for a population increase. The request to move to human colonies had been building for months. Humans tired of Council oversight, eager for the freedom that the new colonies represented, were applying by the millions. But it was not just humans. Other species, particularly younger ones who felt ignored by the Council's preference for elder species, were asking about settlement in human space. Senator Marcus Webb, now heading the Colonial Affairs Committee, reviewed the applications with his team. We have Taraxis families requesting settlement rights, he said, scrolling through data. And look at this. A delegation from the Yorn Collective wants to establish an entire colony in our territory. Can we support that? His assistant, Kevin Park, asked. Can we afford not to? Marcus replied. These are species bringing their own resources, their own skills. The Taraxis are master builders. The Yorn are exceptional miners. They would speed up our development by decades. But they would also be giving up council citizenship. Yes, and that is precisely why they are valuable. They are willing to burn bridges to join us. That is commitment. The approvals went through. Within a year, human colonies became mixed cultural centers, combining species in ways the Council had never managed. The Council's strict separation of species, its careful maintenance of cultural boundaries, had never appealed to humanity. Now they were creating something different, something natural and uncontrolled, and the Council noticed. This cannot continue, High Chancellor Theron declared in an emergency session. The humans are stealing our species, undermining our authority. They are not stealing, Councillor Sefrix countered, her gaseous form now a troubled purple. These species are choosing to leave. We cannot force them to stay. We can certainly discourage it, suggested Councillor Drath of the Crete military branch. Sanctions against any species that settles in human territory. Trade restrictions. Diplomatic isolation. That would fail spectacularly, Trade Minister Valix warned. We would be proving the humans' point, that the Council is controlling and authoritarian. More species would leave, not fewer. Then what do you suggest? Theron demanded. Valix's form dimmed to a thoughtful gray. I suggest we consider that we may have made a mistake. The humans offered partnership. We rejected them. Now they are building something without us, and it is attracting others. Perhaps we should have accepted their request. The chamber fell silent. Admitting error was not something the Council did easily. It is too late for that, Theron finally said. The path is set. The humans have chosen isolation. Let them have it. In time, they will face challenges they cannot overcome alone. Then they will understand why the Council exists. But time did not support that prediction. 5 years after the withdrawal began, human space had doubled in size. New colonies filled previously unexplored sectors. Human ships traveled routes the Council did not even have mapped. And the technology gap, once heavily in the Council's favor, was closing at an alarming rate. On the Frontier Research Station Pioneer's Hope, Dr. Rachel Kim made a discovery that would change everything. She ran into the director's office without knocking, her face red with excitement. We did it, she announced. We actually did it. Director Frank Morrison looked up from his reports. Did what? Faster than light communication. Real time across any distance. No more message delay, no more waiting days for responses, instant. Frank stood slowly. That is impossible. The Council has been trying to achieve that for 10,000 years. The Council was looking in the wrong place, Rachel explained, showing her data on his holographic display. They focused on quantum entanglement, trying to force the physics to work. We approached it from a dimensional perspective. Messages do not travel through space. They travel next to it. Show me the test results. Rachel pulled up the data. We sent a signal to New Canaan, 18 light years away. Response time instant. We have done it 50 times now. It works, Frank, it really works. Frank sat back down, his mind racing through what this meant. This is military advantage beyond measure. This is coordination across all of human space with no delay. This is the end of Council technological superiority, Rachel finished. They cannot even begin to do this. We are not catching up anymore, Frank. We are pulling ahead. The information went up the command structure with highest priority. Within weeks, every human ship, every colony, every station was being fitted with the new communication devices. The network that resulted was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Chris Hayes stood on the bridge of the Independence, humanity's newest flagship, watching the communication network come online. Officers at their stations reported in from across human space. Their responses were instant despite distances that should have required hours or days for messages to arrive. We are not just independent anymore, he said to his second-in-command, Captain Julie Sanders. We are superior. The Council just does not know it yet. The Taraxis High Hive debated for 3 cycles before reaching their decision. Then they sent their message to the Galactic Council. The Taraxis Hive formally withdraws from Council membership. We will pursue independent relations with all species, including humanity. The Council chamber exploded in chaos when the announcement was made. The Taraxis were an old species, respected builders whose engineering skill supported much of the Council's infrastructure. Losing them was unthinkable. This is humanity's doing, Councillor Drath roared. They have corrupted the Taraxis, turned them against us. The Taraxis make their own decisions. Clixar's recorded message played for the Council. We have observed humanity for a decade. They offer what the Council does not. True partnership, without hierarchy. We choose this path freely. High Chancellor Theron tried to maintain order, but everyone understood what this meant. If the Taraxis could leave, others might follow. The Council's authority, unchallenged for thousands of years, was crumbling. We need to contain this, Theron said in an emergency meeting with his closest advisors. The humans are becoming a threat to galactic stability. Or, Trade Minister Valek suggested carefully, we could reconsider our position. Offer them full membership now. Bring them back before this goes further. That would show weakness, Drath countered. We would be admitting they were right to leave. They were right to leave, Valek said bluntly. We treated them like children when they deserved respect. Now they are proving they never needed us, and they are attracting other species who feel the same way we made them feel. This is not about human aggression. This is about Council arrogance finally meeting consequences. The Council's response to the Taraxis withdrawal was swift, and looking back, catastrophic. They implemented sanctions Councillor Drath had suggested months earlier. They cut off trade with any species that maintained relations with both humanity and the Taraxis. They deployed monitoring stations along the borders of human space. They even declared certain sectors off-limits to non-Council vessels. The result was predictable. 3 more species withdrew from the Council within a year. On Earth, Director Helen Cross watched these developments with mixed feelings. She sat in her office with Admiral Chris Hayes and Ambassador Kyle Harrison, who had returned as an advisor on Council relations. They are making the same mistake we predicted, Kyle observed, studying the latest intelligence reports. They are responding to loss of control with more attempts at control, which only drives more species away, Chris added. The Yorn Collective officially left yesterday. That makes 5 major species now operating outside Council authority. Helen tapped her fingers on the desk. We need to be careful here. We never wanted to destroy the Council, just to free ourselves from their restrictions. If they collapse entirely, the power vacuum could be dangerous. With respect, Director, Kyle said, we cannot save them from their own decisions. They had multiple chances to adapt, to change. They chose to stay rigid instead. The question, Chris interrupted, is what happens when they realize persuasion is not working? They still have the largest military force in the galaxy. That question answered itself 2 months later. Captain Tom Bradley commanded the mining vessel Horizon's Edge, working in a system humanity had discovered and claimed beyond Council space. His crew of 40 were extracting rare minerals when their sensors picked up incoming ships. We have got company, his sensor officer, Alan Cruz, announced. 5 vessels, Crete design, military signatures. Tom straightened in his command chair. Contact them. Standard peaceful greetings. The response came in short, translated Crete. Human vessel, you are in violation of Council Space Decree 447. This system has been declared restricted. Leave immediately. Tom looked at his charts. This system is 3 light-years beyond Council surveyed space. It is not theirs to restrict. We are not leaving, he transmitted back. This system was discovered and claimed by humanity under standard galactic settlement laws. We have prior claim. The Council does not recognize human claims beyond assigned sectors. You have 1 hour to comply. Tom immediately sent an encrypted message to Fleet Command, then turned to his crew. I am not abandoning 6 months of work because the Council suddenly decided to expand their borders. Battle stations just in case, but nobody fires unless I give the order. The hour passed in tense silence. Then the Crete ships moved into attack formation. They are powering weapons, Alan reported, his voice tight. Shields up, Tom ordered. Keep trying to contact them. Tell them we are a civilian vessel. The first shot struck their forward shields, rocking the ship. Alarms screamed across the bridge. Return fire? His weapons officer asked. No, we are miners, not warships. Get us out of here. But as Horizon's Edge tried to retreat, the Crete ships pursued, firing steadily. Tom's ship was faster but less armored. A shot broke through their shields, tearing through the cargo bay. Hull breach, Section 7, came the damage report. 3 crew dead. Tom's jaw clenched. All power to engines, emergency jump on my mark. They escaped, jumping to a human outpost 10 light-years away. But the damage was done in more ways than one. The Council had fired on a civilian vessel. They had killed humans over a disputed territory claim, and they had done it deliberately. The news spread across human space within hours, thanks to the new faster-than-light communication network. The anger was universal. Admiral Chris Hayes stood before the Joint Military Command, his face serious. The Crete attack was authorized by the Council's Security Directorate. This was not a single commander acting alone. This was policy. "They are testing us," General Monica Fletcher said, "seeing if we will back down." "We cannot let this stand," another officer argued. 3 dead civilians. If we do not respond, they will think they can push us around at will. Helen Cross, attending through a holographic link, held up a hand for silence. "We will respond, but we will do it intelligently. Admiral Hayes, prepare the fleet for defensive operations. Establish a security boundary around all human mining and colony operations. Any Council vessel that approaches within weapons range is to be warned once, then disabled if they do not withdraw." "Disabled, not destroyed?" someone questioned. "We are not starting a war," Helen said firmly. "But we are making clear that attacks on our people will not be tolerated. We defend ourselves. We do not seek revenge. There is a difference." The military mobilization was massive. Human warships, each using technology the Council could not match, deployed throughout human territory. The message was clear. These spaces were defended. On Centrum, High Chancellor Theron received reports of human military movements with alarm. "They are putting warships on every border," his military advisor reported. "Advanced vessels with capabilities we are still trying to understand. And their faster-than-light communication means they can coordinate across their entire space at the same time. We have never seen a military force operate with that level of real-time command and control." "Are they preparing to attack?" "No, Chancellor. They are preparing to defend. Our analysis suggests a purely defensive position, but their defensive capabilities appear very strong." Councillor Sefrix, attending the briefing, pulsed an anxious yellow. "Perhaps we should reconsider the restrictions on their mining operations. The system in question was technically uncharted. We cannot appear weak," Theron insisted. "The Council must maintain authority." "The Council must maintain relevance," Sefrix countered. "Right now we are losing both. 5 species have left. Trade is down 40% across all sectors. And now we are shooting at civilians over empty systems nobody wanted until the humans found them." The debate continued, but no agreement was reached. The Council was stuck in its own slow decision-making process, unable to adapt quickly to changing circumstances. Meanwhile, humanity continued to expand and innovate. Dr. Nathan Cole's research team achieved another breakthrough. Artificial gravity without the massive power requirements of Council technology. Human ships could now operate more efficiently, stay in space longer, and house larger crews in comfort. More importantly, they shared the technology freely with the Taraxis, the Yorn, and other species who had joined what was becoming known as the Independent Systems Coalition. What had started as humanity's withdrawal was growing into something larger, a genuine alternative to the Council's ancient structures. Governor Sam Porter of New Canaan found himself hosting a delegation from the Yorn Collective. The Yorn were short, stocky beings with crystal-like skin that bent light in beautiful patterns. Their leader, Vex, had come to discuss formal alliance. "The Council threatens sanctions against us for trading with humans," Vex explained, his translated voice carrying a musical quality. "But 80% of our economy now depends on independent trade networks. If they sanction us, we survive. If we return to Council exclusivity, we starve. The choice is simple." "We never intended to force anyone's hand," Sam said honestly. "We just wanted to be free to develop on our own terms." "You showed us that was possible," Vex replied. "For that, we are grateful, but now we must consider the future. The Council will not simply accept this new order. They will push back, probably with force. We should prepare together." The Independent Systems Coalition formalized 3 months later. 7 species, representing over 400. The Council responded by declaring the coalition illegal under galactic law. On what basis? Ambassador Kyle Harrison asked during one of his rare appearances at a council function. What law specifically are we violating? You are creating a rival power block, High Chancellor Theron stated. This destabilizes galactic order. Translation, you do not like competition, Kyle shot back. For 10,000 years, the Council has been the only option. Now there is an alternative and you cannot handle it. But here is the thing, Chancellor. You do not own the galaxy. You never did. You just convinced everyone you were the only choice. The Council maintains peace and stability. The Council maintains your control. Kyle interrupted. There is a difference. Real peace comes from willing cooperation, not forced compliance. The Coalition proves that. The Coalition is 7 species with dreams of independence, Councillor Drath growled. Without Council infrastructure, you will fail. Kyle smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. We already replaced your infrastructure. Our quantum drives are faster. Our communication is instant. Our economic networks are more efficient. Tell me, Councillor, when was the last time the Council invented something new? Really new? Not just a small improvement on something ancient? The question hung in the air unanswered. That is what I thought, Kyle said. You have been living on old achievements for so long you forgot how to innovate. Meanwhile, humanity went from basic rockets to faster-than-light travel in 2 centuries. We are not slowing down, and neither are our partners. He left the chamber before anyone could respond, knowing he had probably burned his last bridge with the Council. It did not matter. Those bridges were falling apart anyway. The incident that finally shattered any remaining peace came not from human space but from the Council itself. The Vin, small gray-skinned beings who had been Council members for 6,000 years, announced they were leaving. Their representative, an elder named Quinn, made the declaration during a routine session. The Vin people have thought about this for 2 cycles. Quinn's translated voice echoed through the chamber. We see that the Council no longer serves its stated purpose. It has become a tool for keeping power rather than helping cooperation. Therefore, we withdraw our membership and ask to join the Independent Systems Coalition. The reaction was immediate and angry. The Vin were core members, original founders of the modern Council. Their departure represented more than just another species leaving. It was a rejection of everything the Council claimed to stand for. High Chancellor Theron's skin darkened to near black with rage. The Vin will reconsider this decision. We will not allow— You have no authority to allow or forbid, Quinn interrupted calmly. We are an independent species. We owe the Council nothing except courtesy, which we give by informing you of our decision rather than simply disappearing. But make no mistake, this is not a request. It is a statement of fact. Within hours, Council military forces surrounded Vin Prime, the species' homeworld. It was presented as a protective measure, ensuring stability during the transition. But everyone recognized it for what it was, taking hostages. The message from High Chancellor Theron to the Vin government was clear: reverse your decision, or face consequences. On Earth, Director Helen Cross received the news with shock. They are holding an entire world hostage, she said, reading the intelligence reports. 8 billion Vin, surrounded by Council warships. They would not actually attack, Kyle Harrison said, but his voice carried doubt. Even the Council would not commit mass murder over a membership dispute. 6 months ago, I would have agreed, Admiral Chris Hayes replied. But they are desperate. They have lost 7 species to the Coalition. If the Vin leave, others will follow. This might be their line they will not cross. Helen made her decision quickly. Send a message to the Coalition partners. Emergency session. We need a unified response. The Coalition met through the faster-than-light communication network, representatives from 7 species talking in real time across hundreds of light years. The debate was intense but brief. Vex of the Yorn spoke for many. If we allow the Council to frighten the Vin back into membership, we make their tactics work. Every species here will wonder if they are next. Clixar of the Taraxis agreed. The Vin made their choice freely. Honor demands we support them, but how? Asked a representative from the Drell Enclave, a newer Coalition member. We are strong, but the Council's military still outnumbers us significantly. A direct fight could be a disaster. Helen Cross took a breath before speaking. Then we make it clear that fighting would be a disaster for everyone. Admiral Hayes, how quickly can we mobilize the fleet? 12 hours to have a significant force at Vin Prime. 24 hours to bring our full strength. Do it. And send a message to Chancellor Theron. Tell him that any attack on the Vin will be considered an attack on all Coalition members. We stand together, or we fall separately. The human fleet jumped to Vin Prime with the rest of the Coalition forces. Over 3,000 ships appeared at the edge of the system, facing the Council's blockade force of 2,000 vessels. Captain Tom Bradley, recovered from his injuries and now commanding a military escort vessel, watched the tactical displays as both fleets moved into position. "This is insane," his new second-in-command Lieutenant Sarah Kim said. "We are one mistake away from the largest space battle in galactic history." "Then we better make sure nobody makes a mistake," Tom replied. He opened a channel to all human vessels in the fleet. "All ships defensive formation only. Weapons charged but safety's on. We are here to protect, not attack." The standoff lasted 3 days. Council and Coalition ships faced each other across a few 100,000 kilometers of space. Either side willing to fire first. Both sides unwilling to back down. On Centrum, the Council met in emergency session around the clock. The debate was fierce and increasingly desperate. "We have superior numbers," Councillor Drath argued. "We should eliminate this threat while we still can." "Superior numbers, but inferior technology," Trade Minister Valix countered. "Our intelligence suggests their faster drives, their instant communication, their shield technology, all give them significant tactical advantages. A battle might not go as well as you expect. Are you suggesting we simply surrender to this coalition's demands?" "I am suggesting we recognize reality," Valix said, her gaseous form pulsing a tired gray. "We made a mistake with humanity. We made it worse by trying to force compliance. Now we are on the edge of a war that nobody wins. Perhaps it is time to consider a different approach." High Chancellor Theron, who had said little during the debate, finally spoke. "What approach?" "We have spent thousands of years building the Council's authority. If we back down now, that authority is finished." "It is already finished," Valix replied softly. "We just have not admitted it yet. The galaxy has changed, Chancellor. It is time we changed with it." The vote was narrow, but it passed. The Council agreed to withdraw its forces from Vin Prime and enter negotiations with the Coalition. When the Council ships left, a cheer went up across the Coalition fleet. They had faced down the galaxy's dominant power and won without firing a shot. But Helen Cross understood the truth. "This is not over. We embarrassed them. They will remember that." She was proven right 6 months later when the Council attempted something new. They tried to use economics as a weapon against the Coalition. Using their still considerable influence, the Council pressured neutral species to boycott Coalition goods. They offered better trade terms to anyone who refused to deal with Coalition members. They even went so far as to restrict access to certain important resources, hoarding them within Council-controlled space. The economic war was more subtle than a shooting war, but potentially just as harmful. Governor Sam Porter watched New Canaan's export numbers drop by 30% in a single month. "They are cutting off our markets. If this continues, some of our colonies will not be sustainable. Then we find new markets," his chief of staff, Linda Hayes, replied. "There are thousands of independent worlds out there, species that never joined the Council in the first place. We have been so focused on the major players, we have ignored the small ones. It was a strategy born of need, but it worked." Human and Coalition merchants reached out to dozens of minor species in the galactic edges. These were civilizations the Council had considered too small or too distant to bother with. Now they became trading partners, eager for the technology and goods the Coalition offered. Dr. Rachel Kim's team made another breakthrough during this period. They developed biological technology that could terraform worlds in a fraction of the time previous methods required. Desert worlds could become gardens in decades rather than centuries. The implications were huge. Suddenly, millions of worlds that had been considered barely livable became excellent places to settle. The Coalition began an expansion into regions the Council had written off as worthless. "They keep winning," Councillor Sefrix observed in a private meeting with other moderate Council members. "Not because they are trying to defeat us, but because they are not limited by our old ways. They create new things because they must. They explore because they can. They trade with anyone because they see all species as potential partners. not as higher or lower in importance. Are you suggesting we copy their methods? Another counselor asked. I am suggesting that if we do not, we will become irrelevant. The coalition is not trying to replace the council. They are simply building something different, something that works better for them, and more species will join them because it does work better. Then came the Void Raider crisis. The Void Raiders were a group of space pirates who emerged from dark space every few decades to attack settled worlds. The Council had fought them off multiple times over thousands of years, but each invasion required massive military coordination. This time, the Raiders targeted Coalition space specifically, perhaps sensing weakness or encouraged by the Council's Cold War against the Coalition. The attack hit 3 human colonies and 2 Taraxis worlds at the same time. The Raiders came in massive numbers, their technology crude but their tactics brutal. Captain Julie Sanders, now commanding the destroyer Defiance, found herself in the thick of the battle at New Perth Colony. The sky burned with descending Raider ships while her crew fought to protect the civilian population below. We are outnumbered 3-1, her tactical officer reported. Coalition reinforcements are 20 minutes away. Then we hold for 20 minutes, Julie replied. All weapons fire at will. Target their landing craft first. Keep them off the surface, the battle was brutal. Raider ships were less advanced than human vessels, but they had numbers and a willingness to accept losses that would horrify any civilized species. They threw themselves at the human defenses in waves, each one wearing down the colony's shields. Then, impossibly, Council ships appeared on the tactical display. We are receiving a transmission from the Council fleet, the communications officer announced. Disbelief in her voice. The face that appeared on screen was Counselor Sefrix, her gaseous form a determined red. Captain Sanders, we are here to help. Sending tactical data now. Let us destroy these raiders together. Julie did not waste time questioning it. Understood, Counselor. Welcome to the fight. The combined Council and Coalition forces turned the tide. The raiders, used to fighting divided forces, could not adapt to the coordinated attack. Within 6 hours, they were in full retreat, leaving behind wreckage and dozens of captured ships. After the battle, Julie found herself on a diplomatic shuttle, heading to a neutral space station where Council and Coalition representatives would meet. The meeting was awkward at first. Years of tension did not disappear just because they had fought a common enemy. But High Chancellor Theron, looking older and more tired than Kyle Harrison remembered, spoke with surprising honesty. The Council was wrong, he said simply. Those 4 words seemed to cost him greatly. We rejected humanity's partnership out of pride and fear. We then made that error worse by trying to force compliance rather than earn cooperation. The result has been the most unstable period in galactic history since the War of Species 3,000 years ago. Helen Cross, representing the Coalition, listened carefully. What are you proposing, Chancellor? A new structure, Theron replied. Not the old Council with its rigid hierarchies. Not simply the Coalition expanding to replace us. Something genuinely new. A federation of equals, where species keep their independence but coordinate on matters of shared interest. You are proposing we merge? Vex of the Yorn asked. I am proposing we stop fighting over who is in charge and start working together as actual partners, Theron said. The galaxy is large enough for multiple perspectives. The Raiders proved we are stronger together. Perhaps it is time we all admitted that. The negotiations took months, but slowly a new structure emerged. The Galactic Federation, as it came to be called, had no single species in charge. Instead, decisions required agreement among regional councils, each with equal authority. Technology and resources flowed freely based on need rather than political favor. Military forces remained under individual species control, but could be coordinated for common defense. It was not perfect, and many on both sides resisted the changes. But it was better than the alternative. 5 years after the formation of the Galactic Federation, Ambassador Kyle Harrison stood in what had once been the council chamber on Centrum. The space had been redesigned. The hierarchical seating arrangement was replaced with circular levels where no species sat above another. He was there to witness something unprecedented, a human being elected as one of the Federation's rotating chairs. Senator Marcus Webb, who had fought so hard for humanity's independence, would now help guide the entire galaxy. It is ironic, Kyle said to Helen Cross, who stood beside him in the observation gallery. We fought so hard to get away from them, and now we are helping lead them. Not ironic, Helen replied. Natural. We never wanted isolation, Kyle. We wanted respect. Now we have it. Down on the chamber floor, Marcus took the chair and delivered his first address. The Federation represents a fundamental truth. That strength comes not from dominance but from cooperation. That innovation grows in freedom. That no single species, no matter how ancient or advanced, has all the answers. The assembled representatives from dozens of species showed their approval in their various ways. Lights flashed, colors shifted, sounds chirped and rumbled. It was chaos compared to the old council's rigid order. It was also beautiful. Out in the galaxy, the changes were even more dramatic. Human colonies continued to expand, but now they did so alongside partners from a dozen species. The Taraxis built magnificent structures on worlds that had been empty. The Yorn extracted resources with efficiency that amazed everyone. The Vin shared wisdom gathered over thousands of years. Dr. Nathan Cole's research team, now including scientists from 6 species, made breakthrough after breakthrough. Medical technology that extended life, energy systems that worked with near-perfect efficiency, terraforming techniques that could restore dead worlds. On New Canaan, Governor Sam Porter watched as a mixed-species delegation arrived to tour the colony as a model for Federation settlement. Humans, Taraxis, Yorn, even a few former council species who had been skeptical of the Federation concept. 10 years ago, none of this would have been possible, Linda Hayes observed. Now it is normal. That is progress, Sam replied. Not just technological, but social. We are finally learning to work together instead of just existing near each other. The military integration took longer. Admiral Chris Hayes, now commanding Federation defense coordination for the entire sector, worked tirelessly to blend different tactical methods and command structures. Captain Julie Sanders, serving as his deputy, sometimes wondered if it was worth the headaches. Then she would see a human ship and a Crete vessel running joint patrols, their crews training together and sharing meals, and she would remember why it mattered. We are building something that will outlast us, she told her crew during one of their regular meetings. Our children will not remember a time when the galaxy was divided. They will grow up thinking cooperation is normal. That is what we are working for now. Not everyone adapted easily. On Centrum, former High Chancellor Theron, now a private citizen, watched the changes with mixed feelings. He had supported the Federation's formation, recognizing it was the only alternative to war. But seeing his life's work dismantled was painful. Councillor Sefrix, now one of the Federation's senior advisors, found him one day in the historical archives, reviewing records of the old council's better days. Regretting your decision? She asked, her form a gentle blue. No, Theron replied after a long pause, but mourning what was lost. The council kept peace for 10,000 years. That is not nothing. It kept control, Sefrix corrected gently. Sometimes peace, sometimes just the absence of open conflict. The Federation is messier, less predictable, but it is also more genuine. Species cooperate because they want to, not because they fear consequences. The humans taught us that. The humans reminded us of something we had forgotten. That rules without respect create resentment. That authority without legitimacy is just tyranny with better presentation. Back on Earth in the Global Assembly, Director Helen Cross prepared to step down after 15 years of leadership. Her successor had been elected, a younger woman named Victoria Mills who had grown up during the independence struggle. In her final address, Helen reflected on the journey. When I took office, humanity was a dismissed species, told we were not ready for full participation in galactic affairs. We proved them wrong not through conquest or domination, but by showing there was a better way. We did not destroy the old order. We evolved it into something that serves everyone better. 20 years after humanity's withdrawal from the Council, Ambassador Kyle Harrison retired to a quiet colony world at the edge of explored space. He spent his days writing, documenting the events he had witnessed and the lessons learned. His book's final chapter concluded with these words: They saw us as children, as threats, as problems to be managed. They never saw us as potential partners, as equals worthy of respect.